Hey, what's up, everybody? Jeff Yalden here with the podcast about her bipolar disorder, specifically bipolar type 2. I want to talk about this because this has been in the news a lot lately. A lot of people are starting to come out with their depression, their struggles with mental illness. As many of you know, Jeff Yalden, a youth motivational speaker, teen mental health expert, suicide prevention, crisis intervention expert. I too struggle with mental illness, diagnosed with major depression, bipolar type 2, and post traumatic stress. As I spend a minute chatting with you about this on my podcast, I want to say this right away. You are not a victim. I'm not specifically talking about Mariah Carey. I am talking about anybody that is struggling with mental illness. It could be easy to claim the role of a victim, and maybe your parents got divorced when you were young. Maybe you were in a bad accident. Maybe you suffer from post-traumatic stress. You were in Afghanistan for 9 months or 6 different tours. Listen, I know everybody has a story. I want to be sensitive about how I talk about this. I do not want to offend anybody. What I'm basically talking about is no matter what you've been through, there's a mindset that you also have to have. And the mindset can be, you can look at mental illness and the stigma that goes with it and be afraid to open up. Or you can look at mental illness and say, okay, having mental illness, whether it be depression or bipolar, PTSD, you can say, you know what? I'm aware of something that's not right. I want to go talk to my doctor. I want to get diagnosed, and then I want to accept it. And when you accept it, you say, okay, I'm not going to let this define me. I'm going to grow as a result of it. I hope that kind of makes sense. I don't want to say that dealing with depression or mental illness is something that, hey, listen, you just got to get over it. No, that's ridiculous. I do want to say that although this diagnosis is not your fault, we still have a responsibility. And that responsibility, I tell everybody, listen, here's the bottom line. You wake up every single day, you get up, you dress up, you show up. 3 things matter: your behavior, your attitude, and your choices. So going back to Mariah Carey, here's the deal real quick. She basically came out in 2001, talked about her struggles with mental illness. As it goes back to about 1991, 1980s, when she was recruited by Tommy Mottola of CBS Records to become a pop star, she was doing a lot of recording in the studios, but did not want to go on tour. Part of the bipolar here, which I want to read to you, is bipolar disorder includes bipolar depression. And there's mood swings. Bipolar disorder can go from mania, the highs, feeling euphoric or revved up and irritable, to depression, which is the lows, feeling down or hopeless. And these highs and lows are called episodes. So as I'm reading about Mariah Carey, of course she didn't want to go on tour, because at one point or another, she probably didn't know what point of her being on tour is she going to feel an episode coming on, and what can she do? When you address and accept the fact that you have mental illness, you become more aware. And through therapy, doctors, cognitive behavioral therapy, counselors, psychiatrists, psychologists, medication, you can learn how to effectively address these issues and live a normal, healthy life. The problem here is, did she know? I'm not sure. Did she want to address it? No, because it says here, the latter half of her career has been characterized by inconsistent performances and a string of high-profile relationships that we all know is covered by the tabloids. At this point, she's probably starting to address the fact that some things aren't going right. Why is she acting this way? Why is she making these bad decisions? Listen, it's part of bipolar type 2. And so here In 2017, she was widely ridiculed online for her failed lip syncing. I don't know if you remember this, New Year's Eve, Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve with Ryan Seacrest. It was about that time when Mariah Carey disclosed her diagnosis, followed admissions of mental health problems. Other people started talking about it. I don't think she was out yet with it. Then all of a sudden, Chrissy Teigen, Selena Gomez started talking about their struggles with anxiety and depression. And then Mariah Carey just had the interview with People. And so she's come out. And the reason she's come out is because she wants to talk to other people who might be suffering. She says, I'm hopeful we can get to a place where the stigma is lifted from people going through anything alone. It does not have to define you, and I refuse to allow it to define me or control me. So big applause to Mariah Carey for finally coming out with this 18 years after she was probably diagnosed with it. But like most people, I get it. The stigma. Let me tell you something about the stigma of mental illness. I think we that struggle with mental illness have a responsibility to talk about it, so that I think on a government level, we can start putting more efforts towards getting people the help that they need. So there's the stigma coming from the outside, but then there's the I'm ashamed of myself. Don't ever, ever, ever be ashamed of yourself. I honestly think that me accepting and opening up about my mental illness is probably one of the greatest things that's ever happened to me. And the reason is, when I became aware, I accepted it, I seeked help and therapy, I honestly think I'm the healthiest I've ever been. Do I not have episodes? I certainly do. And the people that know me know that I have them. But I've also learned to recognize when an episode is coming, and my self-care has limited the episodes because I take care of me first. Having said that, you look at a celebrity like Mariah Carey or Selena Gomez or whoever that is on the road, it's hard to take care of themselves when they're serving this purpose that is so much bigger than them. But what they need to do, take a time out every single day for yourself, because you can't pour from an empty pitcher. You can't spend from an empty bank account. You can't drive on an empty tank of gas. So I said earlier, you are not a victim. I don't want you to claim the victim mentality. I want you to choose not to be bitter. I want you to choose to become better. You're not a victim, but by accepting it and working through it and understanding it, you become a victor, and you can help other people and also diminish the stigma that surrounds mental illness. I want to quickly give you 8 myths about bipolar disorder. Here we go. Actually, let me find it right here. 8 myths about bipolar disorder. Estimates for children and teens vary widely, partly because the debate about the criteria for diagnosis. I don't really think you can diagnose children and teens. I think it's a little bit early. According to statistics and research, in a given year, bipolar disorder affects 5.7 million American adults, or 2.6% of the U.S. population of people 18 and older. Child and Adolescent Bipolar Foundation estimates that at least 750,000 American children and teens may suffer from bipolar disorder, although many are not diagnosed, because they don't know yet, and a lot of times they don't seek help. And also parents, the stigma, they don't want people to think that their child is different. And a lot of kids don't open up to their parents because they're afraid that their parents won't edify their emotions and their feelings. Bipolar disorder is just another name for mood swings. Not so. Mood swings associated with bipolar disorder are very different than those people without the condition. Again, you need to see a therapist, a doctor. You need to get diagnosed, and you can learn about all of this. Okay, so my 8 myths about bipolar disorder did not all print out. So I am going to invite you to go to YouTube and learn more about it. And that's okay, because the basic message that I wanted to get out is you are not a victim. And I wanted to applaud Mariah Carey on coming out with her bipolar disorder. Listen, I'm the healthiest I've ever been. I'm proud that I've accepted my mental illness, and I'm proud that I continue to ask help. I want to encourage and inspire each and every one of you. If you know somebody struggling with mental illness, encourage them to seek help immediately. If you or someone in your family is struggling with mental illness, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to be in therapy. It's okay to learn how to use this to make you a better person. I don't think it's okay to claim the victim role. So, number one, the more you accept it, the more we're going to give people permission to accept it. So, again, all of us, let's get comfortable being uncomfortable talking about mental illness, because we all have the ability to make a difference in the world. My friends, thank you so much for tuning in to the Jeff Yalden podcast. You can visit and subscribe by visiting my website, jeffyalden.com.